Welcome everyone and thank you for joining. This will be part 1 of 2 disassembly of the rear suspension of my 09 XC70. It's going to be a huge video, a huge job for me. Let's begin. Two main concerns for the disassembly is the rusted springs. It's just a matter of time before they snap on me, so I decided to replace those. My second concern will be a little bit later. Let's take a closer look at all the components that are out of the car. As you can see, the springs are in rough shape. Don't forget, this is a 15-year-old car that has been used for every winter, and we have harsh ones with lots of salt. The spring seats are actually in good condition, even though I have new, so definitely could have reused and saved some money here. Both of them, top and bottom. These are the strut or spring mounts. The bump stops are in good condition and they're I think like $45 each, so I decided not to buy them because I could definitely see before taking everything apart that they're in good condition. One of them is already covered with some black rubberized protection. Let's take a look at the shocks. The shocks are held by 18mm bolt at the bottom. They look really rough from the outside, but are actually functioning, in my opinion, as they should. The shock mounts also in good condition, no issues here, but still I have new ones. Long time ago I got the kit, was just laying around. This is not leaking, it's just black overspray. And again, as you can see, the salty conditions did its job here on the components. This is all the hardware that came out. Everything will be new. The links, those are the IPD ones. Stabilizer bar bushings are out. Also no issues. There were no issues, no knocking sound. Actually, I forgot to put in front of you guys the bar itself. I have already did some work on it. I removed as much rust as I could using a grinder and coated with some rust proofing material here. So the bar is going to be reused. I see no reason to buy a new one. It's actually expensive. The second main concern are the axle seals. I'm showing you that the boots are still good, and actually Volvo doesn't sell rear boots separate. You have to buy the whole axle complete, which is 700 Canadian dollars each. Insane. The axle bolts will need to be replaced. They're one-time use. So the second main concern for the repair are the leaking axle seals. Both of them will be replaced. One of them is leaking worse than the other, and you can see where the seal is actually making contact here on the surface. Let's take a look at some suspension arms. Honestly, the bushings, they look rough, but they're solid. I think they could serve some more years to come without replacing, but when you're disassembling so much, I don't want to take any chances. I'll spend the money now and I'll make it 100% new. Another two arms. Again, they look really rough, but the bushings are good. The control arms are aluminum. Volvo stopped manufacturing them. They're coming now steel. The lower bottom spring seat in good condition, no tears, no cracks, really soft rubber, but still I got some new ones. This is where alignment happens. There is a special washer and a special eccentric bolt here that changes the position of the arm, which makes your wheels go in or out. As you can see, some corrosion on the bolt to the bushing here. The bushings are also good condition. They are very expensive from Volvo, I think like $70 each. This was the trouble one. It seized, the bolt seized into the bushing here, and I had to pretty much cut it off to take the control arm out. The left side control arm, no issues, all the bolts came out with ease. And again, this is part 1. Part 2, we're going to be installing all the new parts, which and I will include all the part numbers, all the torque specs on all the bolts, and I'll show you how I did it. Again, the bushings are good, there is no tears, they're solid, I checked them. So it's a big job. Just a heads up, everything was coated with some rubberized protection, a few coats. I know it's not the proper job because I didn't treat the rust, but hey, it's better than nothing. It looks good. Hopefully it will prevent some new corrosion happening. So it's the least I can do. Let's put it this way. If you go to the repair shop, no one will bother doing anything unless you want to pay for that. Let's begin the disassembly. First of all, we want to measure the normal height ride of the rear suspension by measuring to the edge, and it's 42.5 centimeters to the wheel arch. This way later we'll know how to properly torque at normal position, because you don't want to torque with the suspension hanging. I'm gonna raise the car, remove both wheels, and secure it with some jack stands. The jack stands are on the rear subframe, and actually Volvo does not recommend lifting the car like that. Let's take a closer look at all the components. Here are the springs, rusted away in multiple places. Make sure to check yours, it's pretty easy. Take a look before they snap on you. To remind you, I'm not a professional mechanic. This is a do-it-yourself on the garage or driveway floor. So I'm gonna save quite a few dollars here by doing this repair myself. So pretty much I'm paying for the parts and alignment. So please don't judge me too much. The rear links here were replaced recently. There is a video on YouTube how IPD links failed very quickly. These are the Lamforder ones. You have to replace the axle bolts because they're one-time use. Most of the bolts here are 15 mil. And honestly, I don't know the sequence of what needs to go out first. I'm just doing whatever I see. However, I think it's the best. Most of the hardware did remove quite easily except one bolt, and I'll show you a little bit later the trouble that I had with one of the bolts. Definitely some extensions are needed to undo some of those bolts. Here goes the first component out of the car. The bushings don't look terrible, they're actually very solid, but it's gonna be all new. The shock absorber at the rear, 18 mil bolt, really heavy duty with a thick washer here. Two bolts up top that secure the shock absorber to the frame. Very simple design, very easy to replace them in just no time. Let's take a look at the shocks, and they're good. So 15-year-old with 123,000 kilometers, not bad. I don't see any issue with the shocks. They are not leaking. What you see over there is just overspray from some rust proofing. They were never leaking on me. I was checking when doing tire change for winter. This ratchet is giving me trouble. It's already malfunctioning. $50 ratchet. This is the other arm to the knuckle. There is 2 bolts that hold it. Both of them are 15 mil. Notice that all the nuts are welded to the frames, so you're pretty much only purchasing bolts if you want to replace the hardware. The lower control arm is aluminum, so no corrosion on it. There's 2 bolts, and the left side, the driver's side, no trouble here, but the passenger side will be a big one. Now over here, this is where the alignment happens. Those bolts are special, they're eccentric, I guess they're called. So this is where they align the wheels using this special bolt. So there is a nut here, there is a special washer and a special eccentric bolt. I'm gonna show you later how it all looks like. Here's the setup. This is what your car pretty much rides on. And you know, the new springs are expensive, and I'm gonna show you in the next video. I've coated them 3 layers of rust proofing to make sure that they last longer. And again, I'm gonna reuse those bump stops. They're good, they're not torn, they're not weathered. The shock mounts here, not the mounts, I guess, I'm gonna reuse. Here comes the axle. The bushings on that arm are new already from the dealer. I'm gonna include some shots them being replaced in the next video. Let's move to the axles. This was a little troublesome. I was worried that they have corroded inside. This chisel, I made it dull so it's not sharp. Using a heavy hammer, you spin the axle and then you tap until it comes out. Let's take a look. No corrosion, so it's just the clip that's what's holding it in position. The boots are good. Again, we went over that. I'm gonna repeat myself here for a moment, so bear with me. I wish Volvo sold those boots separate, because I would replace them, because the axles are out, a lot of labor. It would be ideal to replace the boots at this time. Okay, maybe another day. Definitely leaking axle seal here, as you can see. Just using a long pry bar to carefully pull it out. This is already another day. I did some coating here on the left side. Let's move to the passenger side. It's pretty much copy paste, so I'm gonna run quickly on all the hardware here. Let's take a look closer at the condition. That's a rough one. Definitely must be replaced. And brand new bushings here are already installed by the dealer, so I want to be careful not to twist them too much. And Volvo actually calls when doing the suspension here, you want to undo them from the car. I decided not to, because those splash shields are that are covering the rear suspension there are really flimsy. I don't want to touch them. The whole arm is falling down, so I want to make sure that it's held somewhat in place here. So I'm gonna secure with some straps and a jack. So this was the trouble bolt. I could definitely feel that it's going against the bushing, so I'll show you. Let's undo the axle bolt so it doesn't pull on it. The shock comes out super easy. These alignment bolts here, they tend to seize. Mine are good, luckily. And I'm gonna make sure to use some anti-seize where it makes contact with the inner bushing. I moved the strap to a different position here to hold everything in place. So here you go, the trouble bolt is not giving way. I was hitting it, I was using a long bar, and this took me like, I don't know, an hour to take it out. So just notice that how big of an extension I'm using here, and off camera it just snapped. So I was turning and turning with the whole force, and boom, there you go, it snapped. Let's pull it out. So now what's gonna happen is the nut that's welded to that frame or the arm, I have to cut it away right here, and I'm gonna just buy a nut when installing the new components. So I'm gonna use a grinder to take this nut off. Brand new disc here to make sure it's nice and new, to make the job easy. The towel actually went on fire here on me, so that was a little bit made me nervous. I have a fire extinguisher nearby, just in case, you never know. Finally, now I want to just make sure that it's as flat as possible, so we'll do some more off-camera work. And then I had trouble removing the arm. It looks loose, but still in there. Finally, it's out. Took me an hour to work on this seized bolt. Let's remove the axle now. Carefully not to twist that new bushing in there. And I wanted to include in faster speed here the process of removing the axle. That's exactly how much time it took me to pull it out. Sorry, the iPhone here focuses on the wrong spot. The seal is out, also leaking, not as bad as the driver's side. I'm gonna plug it with some new towel here and clean everything off around it as best as I can. In part 2, I'm gonna show you installation of the new seals. For now, I'm gonna just keep those areas covered so nothing gets in. Let's move to the stabilizer bar. I wanted to replace those bushings, even though they're not bad. But it's easy, everything is out, and it's not expensive. They were like $25 each. The brackets will be reused. I don't think that I need to pay for those. Here are the bushings. Actually, the new Volvos, the bushings are, I don't know, they come only with the bar. So if you need to replace those, you're buying the whole new stabilizer bar, which is insane, expensive. So luckily I have this older design where the bushings are separate from the bar. Now the bar itself is in super rough shape, so I took a grinder and I took some rust off as much as I could. I'm not gonna go too crazy on it, and I'm gonna rust proof it and it's gonna look nice, and it's gonna protect it, and it will serve many more years to come. In the background you can see brand new springs being also protected. I hope that you enjoyed this video. In the next second part I'll show you all the new parts, all the torque specs. Please like this video, subscribe to the channel if you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you next time, guys. Bye bye.